Okay, so Zion Amid Aleph at the top. Ila Vituvia, the two names. Rashi Edi Halva Hayu, to come back to that. So they're the Korev of the Orev. So there's going to be some loan here, and then the Orev, they're the Korev too. Now again, the Orev is a guarantor for the loan, so therefore, if the lender, if the loiva doesn't pay, the Orev steps in. So they were the Korev of the loan. Savor Rav Papa. So they give Eidos on the loan. Savor Rav Papa lemeimar gabe lava v'malva rechikin inhu. So the ikr here, what's going on with the loan, is the malva and the loiva. So therefore, they are reichek, and therefore there's no din of korov, and therefore it's good Eidos, it's a good testimony. Amar le Rav Huna, Beria de Rav Yeshua le Rav Papa. And again, we got the halacha here. I lis le laiva, lav basar arva azal malva. So if the laiva doesn't have any money, lis le doesn't have money to the laiva, does the malva not go after the orev? So therefore, it's called being a korov, and therefore it's posel edus. Now, to start this, if we have a look at the Ritva, so in the Ritva, I don't know what this is doing in this sugya. It shouldn't be here. It should have been in Mesechut Sanhedrin, in the Mishnah. It should have been somewhere else. It shouldn't be here, says the Ritva. If you have a look here in the Bach, who is a early Achron, he gives reasons why it's here in the Gemara, arguing on the Ritva. Ritva says it shouldn't be here. Now Rashi here says that these Eidim are Eidei Halva. They're Eidim on the loan itself. So Perish Rashi Zal Shayu Eidei Halva. So Eidei Halva is saying that the loiva is chayiv to pay the malva. So if the Eidus is upheld, so therefore the loiva is chayiv, and then through that the oirev will be chayiv as well. But since he's a korov to the oirev, so therefore the loiva is potter, there's no loan. The Ravid Chetav that let's get period, that it's nothing to do with the loan itself. It's on the payment. It's on the payment of the loan, so that the loiva. He'll explain it. Kagon shamar lo le loiva le malva. So the loiva says the malva paraticha, that I paid you. So therefore he's not putting now. The loiva can only tell the malva paraticha if it's a loan al peh. If it's a malva al peh. If it's a malva al star, so saying paraticha. Connected you need to have the star. When you pay the star, you get the star. But if it's a malva al peh, so there's nothing to hand over, so therefore you're believed to say paraticha. So therefore by saying I paid you, therefore the orev is potter. Vahavi edim, and therefore the malva brings edim shelo paru, that they didn't pay, so he's chayiv. V'nimso ha'orev mit chayiv leparu, and therefore through that the orev is chayiv to pay. But those edim that came, who came and said that the loiv is chayiv, they're a korov to the orev. So the Ramban says that the pshat of the Ravid is much better than the pshat of Rashi. So what exactly are they giving the Eidos on? So both times they're mechayving the orev. You think if he's carved the orev, he wouldn't be mechayving him. But anyway, she'im hayu edi halva ve'amri sheruven hava l'shimon ve'levi orev. As we say in a case, you have basically you have he's giving two types of Eidos, so therefore we just believe him klape the loiva. So we have, for example, if you have one aid says that A is chayiv to B, and one aid says that C is chayiv to B. Or A is chayiv 100 to B and A is chayiv 200 to B on a different day. So then they're both saying that A is chayiv at least 100 to B. So what do I care that he's korov to the orev? Now that's the case here of the orev. Now if we have a look here in Sanhedrin, Amar Rav Yosef Ploni Rovu Laonsu. So a case where an aide comes into Beis Din and he says somebody gave he was rovea, which is Shalo Kadarka with a man, or I guess it's Kadarka with a man. So he had male relations, but it was an oinus. He did it against the will of the person. So he's saying that it was who va'acher mitzdarfin lahorgo. So he is an aid, and he can join up with somebody else. So really, it's really what the words are is ploni rovani la'atzoni. He's saying that he would basically he comes into basin and says he was raped by this man. So there he can give edus and he can kill him with someone else. L'ritzoni. So if he says ploni rovani l'ritzoni, if the man he was raped but by my own rotzon, I wanted it. He's a rasha since he wanted to have the act of the man, which is also he's a rasha huva Torah amra al teishis rasha aid. So you can't make the rasha an aid. So since he says that he wanted to do it, that we both engaged in his act and he was the one who did it, so then he's a rasha and we don't believe him. Rava Amar, and this is the halacha. There's the halacha. Adam korvetz alatzmo ve'ein Adam meisim atzmo rasha. So it's not clear here in the Gemara exactly what's going on, but basically Rava disagrees and you can use him as an aid. So now the next case, Amar Rava, Ploni ba al ishti. So someone came on his wife. Hu ve'echer mistarfin lahorgo. They can both come and kill him. Ava lo laharga, but they can't combine to kill her. My kamash malan. What are we learning here? What's the chiddush of the second case, the Palginan Dibura, that we separate the words? Now this is going to be the key point of the mafligen Dibura, that we divide up his words. Hayinu hach. It's the same case as we had before. So the chiddush in this case of ishto is mahu detema adam korvel salatzma amrinin. So we say the man is carved to himself. Etzel ishto lo amrinin. But by his wife, we don't say kamash malan, that even by his wife, we say that Adam is carved by himself. So here, the case of Ploni Ravani Lurtzoni, Rava says that we accept his edus because of Palginan Dibura. So we have Ploni Ravani. So therefore, he says that. So we say that A is A. He did this act, and then Lurtzoni, we do something with that, and we Palgin this Dibur. So we say Ploni Rava we accept, and the Lurtzoni we don't accept. Now there's two ways to understand this Palginan Dibura. And how do you understand this? So there's two ways to understand what this Palginan Dibura is doing. The first one is that Ploni Ravani, we all agree that we accept that, so we kill Ploni. And then Lurtzoni, either we mataritz his words, and we say, oh, since you're making yourself a rasha with the Ritzoni, we don't believe that happened. We believe Ploni Ravani, but we don't believe Lurtzoni, and therefore he must have done it with somebody else. Or the other way to do it is that the Ploni Ravani, then we believe that. Lurtzoni, we don't believe that. So since you're making yourself a rasha, so we don't believe the second bit, and since the first bit you're not making yourself a rasha, so we believe that. So in the Achronim, they have terminology that the first way of where we say basically Ploni Ravani, and then really, but he was Lurtzon Acher, and he not Ploni Ravani. It was Ploni was Roiva somebody else. So we Palginan Dibura, that we take part of it and then we mataritz his Dibur. We change what he's saying. He says that he did it with me, but since you're making yourself a rasha, you said that you wanted it. So therefore we say he did it with somebody else. So how can we kill him? Because he did it with somebody else. We change his Dibur. So that's Palginan Dibura. We take half of it and we split the other. And the other is Palginan Ne'emonis. Palginan Ne'emonis is where you believe half of it, we don't believe the other half. Now if you ever look at the Lechem Mishnah, he brings the I'll bring a nafkamina, which is going to bring in the Lechem Mishnah Lamelech. Now Re'iti b'teshuvas Rashba. So the Rashba has a shala like this. Again, this is going to be the nafkamina. You have a husband is mekane his wife. So in the din of Sota, he says when a man mekanes his wife is not allowed to be in Yechud with a specific man. So he has to say specifically, when you Makanim wife, you say specifically, you're not allowed to be in Yechud with this, with Mr. X. With like Adam Smith, you're not allowed to be in Yechud with them. If she's in Yechud with somebody else, it's okay. You can't be in Yechud with Adam Smith. So then comes into Beis Din Adam Smith, and he says, your wife was in Yechud with me. So now we have a nice nafkamina between them. If we say Palginan Dibura, if we say Palginan Ne'emonus, so we believe him that she was in Yechud with Ploni, with him, but it's not, when he says with me, he's making himself a Rasha. But we see it like someone else is saying, we like believe that she was in Yechud with him. But if it's Palginan Dibura, so then she was in Yechud with somebody else. So Adam Smith comes to Beis Din and says that she was in Yechud with me. We do Palginan Dibura and say she was in Yechud with somebody else. So therefore, there's no kina there. So we see this in the Mishnah Melech holds the Vim Kain Yesh L'Tamua the Maya Hanilan Maya de Palginan Dibura. How does it help with Palginan Dibura? The cave of Palginan Dibura Varminin Shehu Lo Tima Ela Acher. So we see here clearly in the Mishnah Melech we have this Palginan Dibura. We're changing the mashmos of what he's saying. We're changing his Dibur. So therefore, in the case of Ploni Ravani, so he did it with someone else. So we can kill the guy because the guy's coming into Beis Din. He is not a Rasha. He comes in and he says that he had relations with a man. We believe since he can't make himself a Rasha, we don't believe it was with him. It wasn't with him. So therefore he was. So here it was Lo Tima Ela Acher Tima. So therefore we see the Mishnah Melech is going on that. So but then we see the Imken Yesh L'Tamua if the Rashba is holding that the Palginan Dibura. And therefore, so Palginan Dibura ve'en adam ki'ilo ha'ech hu atzmo ba'alei ela ki'ilo ha'ech zinta. So when you have the maklokas, they're asking on each other because they're learning Palginan Dibura in a different manner. That's just in the Naftali Trop. He has a whole piece on it, been in Palginan Dibura. But hini b'zeh ike maklokas rishonim. Heicha. The Ev Shalom Palginan Dibura, Eamrin Palginan Ne'emonuso. So when we have this Maklokas going through, so when you can read the sources on the Rishonim, so they'll be arguing on each other. How can we say he doesn't? So some will say Palginan Dibura works here, and they'll say Hakana because like what the Mishnah Melech is arguing on the Rashba. So we have these two things, Palginan Dibura, and then we have Palginan Ne'emonuso. So the big question is, why don't we say Palginan Dibura in our case in the Gemara? So whether it's like Rashi or whether it's like the Ravid, so we should believe them on the Loiva and don't believe them on the Orev. So therefore, what? But we poskin, so believe them on the Loiva and we don't believe them on the Orev. So we say basically we mechayev the Loiva. And then we don't mechayev when we potter the Orev because there's no edus on the Orev. There is edus on the Loiva, so we should say Palginan Dibura here. So therefore, why is the halacha not like that? So that's the big question here in our sugya, which the Rishonim or Ma'ayanin. So the first teretz we're going to see is in the Ramban. Mikumok mikle mida hakel lemehemni gavei Loiva shelo para v'lohemni lechiyuv Orev liflog Dibura. Says the Ramban asking that question. So you should believe for the Loiva that he's chayev, shelo para. We don't believe the Orev, Palginan Dibura, liflog Dibura. Don't we say for Ravani? You see here the lashon Ravani l'Ratzani. So they learn the Gemara there. Hu va'acher mitzarfen lahorgum mishum to Palginan Dibura she'adam korvas lasum. And I'm not asking Kedisa in Sanhedrין in Boirer. We also say in this other case, Shaloiva Baribus, and also in Yavamas. So that's the question of the Ramban, and then much further down, he gives his teretz. So lo mistaverli hachi. So he's arguing on the Ravid. We'll see the Ravid's teretz next. Eila kach nirali. The hacha bisha toinin and peroinachov. So he goes like the Ravid that it's not on the loiv, it's on the payment. So now we flipped from a malva al peh to a malva b'shtar, and this is the teretz of the Ramban that it's a malva b'shtar. So since the Malva Bishtar, the Halalutoyin Piranu that we paid, that now they need Adim on their payment. Because if it's Baal Peh, they don't need Adim. So here now they need Adim. V'havi Adim Karuvim la'arav Shapara. So he's flipped the case of the Ravid. He's saying that these Adim, Kaka said they paid and they're a carved to the Parah. She'im ne'emonim oto al halva lepotru af ha'arev potter. That if we believe them to potter the loiva, then the arev is also potter. Ve'iev shor lachayev zeh lepotter zeh b'shum panim. So in this case, if we say Palginan Dibura, so then we would have to potter the loiva and chayev the orev. And if shor chayev zeh lepotter zeh b'shum panim. Now I'm not sure exactly what. Now I don't know if this. It doesn't seem like this is a general rule that no time we can have a case of chayev zeh and potter zeh. Here, we can't have a case of what the loiva is not chayev to pay, and the orev is chayev to pay. Now, the orev only pays if the loiva doesn't have money. But here, the loiva can have money, but he's taken potter, and all of a sudden the orev has to pay the loan. This can't be a din, so we can't say Palginan Dibura because we'll come out with something that doesn't make that we come out with something that can't be. Now the Rosh Avish Matartzin Delo Dami Hasam. So they're coming to apostle someone. They're coming to like to kill someone or say that he's apostle Adus. The Ikara Adus that they say when he says he rova, so he's apostle Adus. We kill him. Shaloiva Baribis Ne'emonim. So therefore they believe the apostle someone else. Ubama Sha'amor Ledidi Mili Echrini Ninhu. So therefore when he says that he gave me the loan, or that he was roiva ani, so therefore that's something completely different. V'lo makabel minei. So it's like we're giving Adus on two separate things here. We're saying that A is a apostle, or A is a he's malva baribus or whatever it is, and the second thing he says is that I did it, and you don't believe him, but we believe. So he's being made on two things. The Palginan Dibura, we separate the words and we say yeah on this and not on that. Aval lahamina lechayev haloiv v'lo ha'orev, but here Eev shar kevin sheish shtar shehu ha'orev. Since it's already a star that he's an orev, we can't split it up. So this terrace of the Rosh kind of follows the same idea of the Ramban. It's just that there's a mitzias here that doesn't really fit the Palginan Dibura. The Ravid who has a different pshat here. Again, then the Palginan Dibura goes going on Palginan Nemonis, and we'll have a completely different territory. Ravid Zal. Kata b'shuvasav. Shekol eidish bottle mixes machas posel korov bottle kula. So again, Ravid brings up the issue that you have a guy giving edus and basis. We can't do a Palginan Dibura because when you puzzle some of the edus, we puzzle all of it. So therefore, all the edus is bottled because of the karuva. And the chilek of the korov that puzzles the whole edus is puzzled. So it's a steer against Palginan Dibura b'chlal. For lo Palginan Dibura, we can't do Palginan Dibura. Daha lo palik behu rachmona da amor ma shnaim nimsa echod mehen korv apostle edus and betela af shlosha. So the sugi we did before that with one aid can puzzle the whole cash because we don't Palginan Dibura. Everyone's stuck in the same thing. Alma lo Palginan edosam. We don't do this whole thing. So what's going on here? Because that's what Rava says. Hayinu davka k'shemid alatzmo. It's only when he's given his edus on himself. She'ein ze edus klal. It's not called edus. He's not giving edus. Ela kamo she'eino dami she'ein adam nikra la'atzmo eid posel. Kedei she'nemor edus shebotl mixes botl kuda. So he's saying it's not edus. So if we go back into the case of so Amaravis Ploni Ravoni Lonso, so we accept all those words because it was oines. It happened to the guy. It was oines. Okay, there's no Rosh. But now here, if he says Ploni Ravani Lurtzoni, so Ploni Ravani, so we believe that because that's edus. Lurtzoni, that's not edus. Because he's giving edus on himself, and that edus is posel on himself. So therefore, if it's not edus posel, he's going to make a chiluk between edus posel And
so it's not Palginan Dibura because it's just that part's not.
the Palginan Dibura in the sense of he has to say it's Palginan Dibura because the Gemara says Palginan Dibura. It has to be the Palginan Dibura of that we accept this and we chuck this out. Why do we chuck this out? Because that's not Eidos. Palginan Dibura, right. Half of what he said is Eidos, half of what he said is not Eidos. So therefore anything you say about yourself is not Eidos. Since it's not Eidos, you come into Beis Din and you're saying Eidos. So therefore there's no idea of bottle mixes bottle kula because there's no bottle of the Eidos. There is no Eidos. When he says Lord Seini, that's not Eidos.
It's of
his Dibur. And we accept the Eidos and we throw out what's not Eidos. So then it also works in the next case. It works quite well in the next case because Mike is my Kamash Milan. Haynuhach. He says no because Adam Karvas Alasma Amrin it's Alishta Law Amrin. So he said Kamash Milan. No, Taka with his wife Ishta Kagufo. Since wife is Ishta Kagufo, that's why Taka we Palginan Dibura here because there's no Eidos. V'dami lahat amri la'aba makami dover hakosov midover dechi hechit shnim se echad min ha'edim korv apostle Eidos and betela achinam kishnim se echad mehem korv apostle sheharei mixes Eidos and betela machmas grova. If ki hechi she'en ha'erik posel es shara edim mipnei she'en ani kore bo Eidos. So the hoyreg, as you saw in the last case, he isn't an aid. He's the Baldover. So since he's the Baldover, that's what the Gemara said, that since he's the Baldover, he's not the aid. Only the aid is Makayim Dover. So since the Hoyreg is not is the Baldover, he's not an aid, so therefore the Hoyreg doesn't postal there. Ani Kore Bo Eidus. That's not Eidus, a bottle mixes bottle kula. Hachinami, kasheru me'eid alatzmo. Balacher beklal, ein ani Kore Bo Eidus, a bottle mixes bottle kula. Fish ein alav shem aid klal. So again, here's the ein alav shem aid klal. And then the next part of the Gemara, Sakadaicha Shloti Eidasu Etzel Atzma Amrin, Etzel Ishta Lo Amrinin Kamash Malan, that it's Ishta Kagufo. So that's how the Ravid explains that case. So therefore, in our case, he's giving Eidas on a Korov, and therefore the whole thing is bottled, just like halacha. And this whole question of Palginan Dibura only happens when you're splitting up the when you're splitting up the ne'emonos on whether what I say is on myself or on someone else. So when I say it on myself, so that's not Eidos. So therefore we just take that out, and therefore you're left with the other. So therefore when he says Ploni Ravani Leritzoni, we just don't take this whole Leritzoni. We just don't take. We just chop it off. How can we just chop it off? Because it's not Eidos Klal.